The chapter is Quadrilaterals for Standard 9. So, what do you mean by a quadrilateral? It is any closed figure with 4 sides. With 3 sides, we call it as a triangle. 4 sides is called as a quadrilateral. 5 sides, it's pentagon. 6 sides, octagon, etc. And with 4 sides, any closed figure with 4 sides is called a quadrilateral. Now we have angle sum property of a quadrilateral. Sum of all the angles of a quadrilateral is 360. That is angle A plus angle B plus angle C plus angle D is equal to 360. For a triangle, it is 180. For a quadrilateral, it is 360. Now, there are various types of quadrilaterals which we will learn it in detail. So, the quadrilaterals are of 3 types. One is parallelogram, another is trapezium, and this is kite. So, in a parallelogram, again we have 3 varieties. They are special type of parallelograms is rectangle, square, and rhombus. In a parallelogram, the opposite sides are parallel and equal. And in a trapezium, this is a trapezium where only one pair of sides are parallel. So, only these 2 sides are parallel and they are not equal, and these sides are not parallel at all. Only one pair of sides will be parallel, and such a quadrilateral is called a trapezium. And if one side of these are parallel and the non-parallel sides are equal, then it is called an isosceles trapezium. And another variety is kite. In kite, these 2 sides are equal and these 2 sides are equal. So, they are not, kite and trapezium are not parallelogram, because for a parallelogram, the opposite sides has to be parallel and equal. Here, only one pair of sides are parallel. These are not parallel and they are not equal also. So, trapezium is not a parallelogram. Similarly, kite, here only these 2 adjacent sides are equal. The opposite sides are not equal and they are not parallel also. So, kite is also not a parallelogram. So, we will learn the properties of parallelogram, then the special properties of rectangle, square, and rhombus. So, in a parallelogram, this is a parallelogram ABCD. AC and BD are the diagonals. So, here the first property is the opposite sides are, the basic property of a parallelogram is opposite sides are parallel. So, AB is parallel to CD and AD is parallel to BC. Opposite sides are parallel. Then another property is opposite sides are equal. So, CD is equal to AB and AD equal to BC. Now, opposite angles are equal. Now, this whole angle A is equal to angle C and angle D is equal to angle B. So, these are all properties of a parallelogram. The diagonals bisect each other. That means this AC will bisect BD and BD will bisect AC. So, therefore, AO will be equal to OC and OD will be equal to OB. And here the adjacent angles will be supplementary because these are parallel lines. So, these 2 angles will become co-interior angles. So, the adjacent angles will be supplementary. The diagonal of a parallelogram divides into 2 congruent triangles, and all these things you will be learning in, we will be proving all these properties. And a quadrilateral is a parallelogram if either of any of the following is true. If just both pairs of opposite sides are equal, it's a parallelogram. If both pairs of opposite sides are parallel, then it is a parallelogram. Then if the diagonals bisect each other, we can say it's parallelogram. if both pairs of opposite angles are equal and pair of opposite sides are parallel and equal, we can say the quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Any one of the conditions satisfied, we can say it's a parallelogram. All the other conditions will hold good in such cases. Now we'll see these special types of parallelograms. So all the properties of parallelogram will hold good for rectangle, rhombus and square. The properties are the opposite sides are parallel and equal, opposite angles are equal, then diagonals bisect each other. All these, so opposite sides are parallel and equal, diagonals bisect each other. They are all the properties of a parallelogram. Now, apart from that, we have some extra properties which will make that parallelogram a rectangle. So, the diagonals in a rectangle, the diagonals are equal and all angles are 90. If these two conditions are satisfied, then we can say that parallelogram is a rectangle. So, the diagonals are equal. AC equal to BD and angle A, angle B, angle C and angle D are 90, then it is a rectangle. Coming to rhombus. In a rhombus, all sides are equal. So again, all the properties of a parallelogram holds good here. All opposite sides are parallel and equal. The diagonals bisect each other. The opposite angles are equal. All the properties are true for this. Apart from this, again similar to rectangle, these have some special properties which will make that parallelogram a rhombus. So what are those properties? All the sides are equal, but here the diagonals are not equal, but diagonals bisect each other. But it will bisect at right angles. In a parallelogram, it will just bisect, not at right angles. It need not be at right angles. If it is bisecting at right angles and the sides are equal, then you can say the parallelogram is a rhombus. So these two properties has to be proven. Then you can say that parallelogram is a rhombus. In a rectangle, you have to prove the diagonals are equal and all the angles are 90. Then you can say that parallelogram is a rectangle. Similarly for square, as you know, all the sides are equal. So the difference between rhombus and square, both all the sides are equal. But here there are some other special properties. The angle, these angle D, angle C and A and B are all 90 degrees and the diagonals bisect each other at right angles. So, and the diagonals are equal. So these are the special properties which will make a parallelogram a square. So if you are able to prove a parallelogram that in a parallelogram that all the sides are equal and all angles are 90, you can say that the parallelogram is a square. And these two properties also will hold good. Or if you are able to prove these, then also you can say it is a square. So here these diagonals bisect at right angles. In rhombus also the diagonals bisect at right angles. Then what is the difference? All the sides are equal. Here also all the sides are equal. Diagonals bisect each other at right angles is also same for both. So the difference is the angles here are 90. Here it is not 90 and here the diagonals are equal. Here the diagonals are not equal. That is the difference between rhombus and square. And again rectangle, coming to rectangle and a square. In rectangle, opposite sides are equal. Here square, all the sides are equal. And in a rectangle, the diagonals are equal. Here also the diagonals are equal. But diagonals do not bisect at right angles in a rectangle. But in a square, it bisects at right angles. And so in a kite, as I told you in earlier little while ago, AB and AD are equal. These two are equal. And here the diagonals are not equal. But the diagonals will intersect at right angles. And the bigger diagonal the longer one will bisect the smaller one, that is OB equal to OD, but AU is not equal to OC. So in a quadrilateral it is a quadrilateral which has two pairs of equal adjacent sides and unequal opposite sides. Now trapezium, these two are parallel and these are not parallel, and these need not be equal. In case this is equal, then it is called an isosceles trapezium. So in our next coming videos, we will try to prove all these properties, which will help you to understand these concepts much better.